for every player before they actually do it.
Yeah, and
before Giannis won it last year.
Yeah. Same thing.
It's the same for every player.
Only player.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show. As always, we stream to you guys live on DSM Media through our Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook channels. If you're new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media. Click the link tree in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are on. I'm your host, Dylan Davis. You can check me out on Twitter @DylanJD98. And today, I'm joined by one of my co-hosts, Kata Hot. Check him out on Twitter @KataHot79. And a very special guest joining the show for the second time, Connor Thomas from 97.5 The Fanatic. Connor, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Well, the Phils are the Phils still winning?
Yeah, they're still up 3-1 right now.
Big double.
Yes, sir. Good swing on that one.
Yeah, yeah. That's just the way things are going right now for the fighting. So on today's show, it's not going to be a very long episode for you guys, but we're going to talk about this recent surge the Philadelphia Phillies have been having since firing Joe Girardi. And then we will also get into some Eagles offseason stuff, OTA, 7-on-7, stuff like that with Jalen Hurts, and pick Connor's brain a little bit on this upcoming season. But let's start with the Fightins, who are leading in Milwaukee to take their second straight sweep, knock on wood, after sweeping the Angels. So I'm just going to start here, man. Like, I think last time we spoke, it was heavy Sixers. It was before they got bounced by the Heat, and you know, we didn't really get into much Phillies, but I think at that time, things weren't going too smoothly. And we talked about how they can maybe turn the season around, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Joe Girardi gets fired. And I think we all expected this team to play with life after, you know, their manager's fired. It's what the point of the firing is. And you see it all the time in sports. But for myself, I didn't expect this level of production, this level of energy through the first 6 or 7 games post Girardi. So what's the biggest difference you've seen within this Phillies team throughout this run so far?
Yeah, man, no one really expected this to happen. Like, you can't expect this type of turnaround just from changing the manager. Like, it feels like a sports movie type of plot at this point, where it's just like, oh, one change, and all of a sudden we got the winning montage. But the biggest thing is consistency. Just these guys knowing where they're going to line up, where they're going to hit every day. Like, Joe Girardi was not good with that. He was taking guys in and out of the lineup seemingly on a whim. He was moving the order around, trying to find something that works. And I'd for a long time been a proponent of just like set these guys in an order, and outside of rest days or injuries, just let them bat in the same spot and play the same position for a month and see what happens. And he just refused to do it. And that's the biggest difference with this team right now. They're getting a chance to play through stuff. And the guys that would normally just get a day here, day there under Girardi are playing more and getting big hits.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like the lack of the total mismanagement he had of this ball club. You mentioned the lineup. It's something I spoke about often with this team. Like, Schwarber was batting 1, 5, 6, or 7. Hoskins was batting 1, 2, 5, or 6. And he was just, you know, it's not easy to, when you show up to the ballpark, not know where you're going to be on that specific night. He would do the same thing with the bullpen. I've seen Nick Nelson out there in the 5th inning. I've seen Nick Nelson closing a 1-run game in the 9th inning. I've seen Brad Hand out there in the 6th inning. I've seen him out there in the 8th inning. Well, what is he, Joe? Is he a setup guy? Is he a mid reliever? They don't even know. So consistency is huge. And I just think overall, I don't know, dude. They're playing like little kids right now. They're having fun, it seems like. And when you have fun at this level, I guess good things tend to happen. But go ahead, Kata.
So I want to get your thoughts on what do you think they should do with Mickey Moniak? Odubel seems to be playing really well right now, and kind of can't take him out of the lineup the way he's playing. But they also need to get Mickey some at bats, because we saw how he was in spring training, and they need to see if they have something in center field there or not.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mickey out there today getting an opportunity. That's the toughest spot right now, because Odubel is playing well. And the natural thing with Odubel, because of his off-the-field issues, is a lot of people are real quick to say, well, give Mickey Moniak playing time over him. Because, frankly, Odubel Herrera shouldn't be on this team right now anyway. They should have cut bait with him after the whole domestic violence issue and this contract that came back. I didn't really get it when they re-signed him for this year. But he is playing well right now, and I don't think you can just put Moniak over him because, well, Moniak's the younger player, especially with the streak that they're in, especially with the hole that they've got. So this is kind of what I see, like 2 days on for Odubel, 1 day for Mickey Moniak, and just keep that consistent thing. And as long as you keep that consistent, like you can do changes consistently, right? You can say like, okay, well, every third day is Moniak, and that is still a consistency. So at least Herrera knows he's getting 2 days. Moniak knows he's got 2 days to prepare, and he's going to get like the final game of a series. That's how I do it, though. I do it a 2-1 split between the two of them until either Odubel cools off and you need to go to Moniak, or Moniak starts hitting the ball and you feel comfortable until something changes, though. That's what I'm doing with that whole situation out there.
So going off of that, do you worry? I mean, I like the idea, but do you worry at all? I know the formula is consistent, but the lack of reps and the lack of at-bats, Mickey Moniak would be seeing like my point is what you're seeing with Bryson Stott right now. Like Joe, I keep going back to him because he was such a nightmare. But you're seeing what happens when you let the young kids play. Do you worry at all if Mickey's just getting every third day that the progression might not be there and they'll be too quick to say, nah, it's not going to work?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, but they're not really in a situation where the progression is allowed to be a priority right now.
Right.
Like if Joe Girardi had done this from opening day, and obviously he couldn't because of the injury, fortunate injury that Moniak had in the last spring training game, kept him out for over a month. But like if you had done this from when Mickey Moniak was healthy and just said, okay, well, we're going to give you a month and get it going. Maybe that would have been a better time for it. But where they're at, how many games back they're at both in the division, and they're not way out of the wild card, but they're going to have to win some games here to get themselves back in the mix. Like I can't put a priority on developing Mickey Moniak over winning games. And right now, just right now, literally for this week, and who knows, it could change next week. Odubel Herrera is your best option to win right now if you have him at center.
It's funny, isn't it? Matty V goes deep off a hater, gets to win, and he's not even in this conversation, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, got it.
So do you think the Phillies are going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline? I mean, obviously it's hard to tell right now because they're winning a ton of games, but this isn't going to last forever. The streak's going to end soon. So we'll see. But what do you think? Are they going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline?
Yeah, there's no chance they sell. In my mind, there's absolutely no chance. Like it would have to be a disastrous next month and change before we get to the deadline to make them sellers. Frankly, because the guys that they can move, they don't really have that many movable pieces. They don't have that many guys that they could get out. And like, what are prospects really going to do with this window? You got Castellanos for a 5-year deal, Schwarber for 4-year. Wheeler's got 4 years left, 3 or 4 years left. Remuto's got 3 or 4 years left. Like this window is not big enough that prospects are going to be able to come up and help these guys win. So they can't be sellers. It closes the window on the majority of this core that they've already paid. I don't know how much buyers they'll be because, again, I don't know what they have movable. The prospects aren't really there for them to move anyone. You have maybe Logan O'Hoppe is their best movable prospect who just went on the top 100 prospects list for Baseball America earlier this week. But the only other guys in the minor league system you're looking at really are Mick Abel and Andrew Painter, and they're both still way down there, and you're not going to move prep arms ahead of it. They just don't have that many movable pieces one way or another. So I could see a move for a center fielder if Moniak or Herrera don't do anything. I could see a move for a bullpen piece and maybe move a bench piece or a Logan O'Hoppe or another couple of prospects. But I don't see anything crazy at the trade deadline. This is going to be largely the team that they stick with through the remainder of the season. And I think they're talented enough to do that. They just got to play.
So you just mentioned the bullpen piece, and that was going to be my follow-up, specifically the closer. Because, listen, man, I can't take the Corey Knebel experience much longer. And I'm not saying Corey Knebel should just be out. He could be a fine setup guy. He was a fine setup guy in L.A. He's been a fine setup guy. I can't do the closer role anymore. I don't know if Sir Anthony Dominguez is the answer. He's never been really put in that situation, but he's probably the best arm you have right now. Would that be something you'd be super interested in, even if they made no other moves, going out and, obviously not getting Craig Kimbrell this time of year, but, we've heard the names at past deadlines, something like that this year.
Yeah, no, I could totally see it. There's a guy down in Houston right now. I think it's Hector Neris, that's having a pretty darn good year. That I think he's got some closing experience. I could see them go and get a closer. Honestly, the Knebel thing's interesting to me because I don't know how much of what happened pre-Joe Girardi's firing was on his management of the bullpen. Obviously, more of it is on the player and getting outs and everything like that. Knebel has not been good. But there was a point like 3 weeks into the season where he had like a .87 ERA. He had looked really good to start. I want to see him a little bit more in that closer role with Rob Thompson managing this team because, yeah, he had a heart attack of a game. What was that last night? But got out of it. Hasn't had a blown save.
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to let him ride until he falls apart in another one because, frankly, he got the job done even though it was a little bit sketchy. So I want to see if the bullpen management affects how he's able to perform that closer role before I start saying, well, we definitely have to go get a closer.
So it's absurd right now to me because at one point, probably 10 days ago, nothing felt right with this team. Like at every game, it felt okay. Something's going to happen. Something's going to go wrong. Where's the cliff that we're going to run off of? Right now, I watch this team, and it's like I'm just oozing confidence every day. They're going to find a way to win. They're going to find a way. Like Corbin Burns threw 113 pitches today, and they only got 1 run off of them. But next thing you know, 2 batters later, they're taking a 3-1 lead. How long is this sustainable? Because I've said it from the beginning of the season. They had the talents there. They're too talented to not turn it on at some point or another. They just had no idea how to close out a game, how to win a game. Is this a sustainable thing? Or is it? Or will we soon be back to Phillies baseball?
Yeah, it's funny. I think it kind of is sustainable, right? And here's where we can't let the lines get blurred. It's not sustainable because Rob Thompson is the manager now and he's doing all these different things. Like it's not that. What it is it just so happened that Joe Girardi being fired coincided perfectly with this schedule getting significantly easier. Phillies got the 5th easiest schedule in baseball the rest of the way. By strength of schedule. Like you look at some of the teams they got coming up just this week. They get Arizona for 3, get Miami for 3, they get Washington for 5, who they haven't played yet. Like these teams stink. And I'll tell you guys, so over on 97.5, we have Ricky Bowe in every Thursday morning on the morning show on the John Kincaid show. And he was in and he was watching these guys and he's like, well, this Brewers team looks like it stinks. And I was like, Ricky, these teams might all look like they stink because you played the Mets and the Dodgers so much. Like comparatively, we might just see that this is a much better baseball team than we thought they were. And it may be for no other reason than they played a tough schedule early. They're going to play a really easy one over the next month.
Go ahead, Cotter.
I'm out of questions for this one.
Out of questions? All right. Yeah. I got one final one for you. And hopefully we'll have you on again throughout this summer and we'll be talking more Phillies baseball. But right now, Connor, what does your mind tell you? Not your heart. I know we want a red October and listen, we're double-digit games out of the NL East. I don't think anyone's mind's going there, but you do look at that 3rd wild card spot, and they're sitting 3.5 out somewhere in that range right now. What are you thinking right now for the course of this Phillies team? Will they be making a September push again for a playoff spot?
Yeah, this is a playoff team. They're a wild card team. Now the division, I'm not even looking at it. This Mets team, it pains me to say, but they're really good. They're different than your average Mets team. That team they're not going to catch the Mets, I don't think. But they're, in my mind, definitely a wild card team with what we've seen. Like, you just look at the teams they're going to play the rest of the way. They can beat bad teams. They're too talented not to be a playoff team. Now, it could be a one and done. They could get into the wild card game, lose straight out, and just see it. But to me, I don't think there's any way with this talented of a roster and this pitching staff, the starters doing what they've been doing, that they come up short. And there's not going to be 3 teams out of the NL West. One of those teams is going to fall off because they're going to have to play each other a lot down the stretch. And I love the Phillies odds to get in.
So that's a guy I forgot to ask you about. Aaron Nola, real quick before we move on to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Has somehow, made a resurgence back to, no, not Ace Nola, not Cy Young Nola. But he looks damn good, and he looked damn good last night. We're talking about sustainability. Should we be fooled or should we be optimistic when it comes to Aaron Nola? Because I've seen this movie before, and he's roping me back in. And every 5 days, okay, it's Nola Day. Are you optimistic on him right now, or are you hesitant?
No, you got to be cautiously optimistic with anyone like Aaron Nola, who's shown inconsistency over the course of a season in the past. Like, not just he's had inconsistent stretches. Like last year, he was all over the place. So you got to be cautiously optimistic. You never know what's going to happen the rest of the way. But looking at the stuff he's had, man, the approach on the mound is much better. He's attacking hitters, which he didn't do very well last year. He's trusting his stuff a lot more, and he's starting to heat up, this is the time of year where pitchers are at their best. You're right in between that zone. And for the next month, you're going to see of guys, their arms aren't burnt out yet, but they're feeling good. The extra like heat, it helps the bats, but it also helps the arms, man. When it's warm out, when it's 95, you got a couple extra miles an hour on it. Your stuff breaks more. You can throw better. So this is the time of year where pitchers normally get hot, and he's showing it. And he's always had the stuff. To me, it's been the mindset and the consistency. And this year, those have been better than really any year since 2018. So you can believe in Aaron Nola. Just don't put all of your eggs in the Aaron Nola basket.
I love it, dude. You're oozing optimism for this Phillies team. And
how could you not be right now, man?
What's up?
Won 6 straight.
I know. It's at that point. I think it's Broads that I follow on Twitter. He every night is it 8:10 yet? I need it to be 2:20 tomorrow. Like it's at that point now where every day can be exciting because Phillies baseball is on. And literally 10 days ago, we almost had a dreadful summer coming up on our hands waiting for Eagles football. But Brewers got one back in the bottom of the 6th, so it's 3-2.
Yeah, a little solo home run shot there.
Was it?
Yeah. Happens. What are you going to do? Phil's bullpen, you know?
These things tend to happen here sometimes. But all right, let's move on to the Eagles for the second half of this show. And I'm going to come right out of the gate with the guy that everyone's going to have their binoculars on them and the microscope's going to be on this year, and that is Jalen Hurts.
Strong.
Don't start.
We'll get into that.
Listen, I have to see it still. I'm that guy. I need to see it arm-wise, progression-wise for Jalen Hurts this season. It's OTAs. It's 7-on-7. They're wearing T-shirts and shorts. Can't put too much into it. But he's getting a lot of praise from not only his coach, which what else is Nick Sirianni going to say, but other players and players that he's getting the ball to in OTA so far have come out and said his ball looks crisper, it's cleaner, his accuracy's improved, yada, yada, yada. How much does Jalen Hurts need to improve to you this year to be here in 2023? Because I don't think it's like, even if the Eagles make the playoffs, because I do think they're a playoff team again with this schedule and the talent around him. If he doesn't improve with that extra pick next year, I think they're looking at it, okay, yeah, we made the playoffs again, but I don't think we can win a championship with this guy or get to a championship with this guy. How much does he need to improve to you with his arm specifically to stay here and get this job permanently?
Yeah, it's kind of tough, right? Because like you said, they can make the playoffs, and it's hard to put like a quantitative number on it. Because when you look at it, you could say 12 wins, but you look at the schedule, and that could be a really easy 12 wins. You see Jacksonville, you see Houston, you see like a division that still isn't great, even though Washington, New York are heading in the right direction.
Lions, everybody.
Exactly. So you look at that, and they could win 12 games, and he could look bad. They could make the playoffs, and he could look bad. They could win the NFC East. And Jalen Hurts could not look like the quarterback of the future. So it's hard to say exactly what it is he needs to do. My biggest thing that I think is going to be an indicator for me is the percentage that they throw the ball, how much faith they put in him. Because remember last year, they're a huge running team down the stretch and helped them win a lot of games, almost like they were hiding Jalen Hurts at points. Well, you go out, you get A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith in the second year. You got a great offensive line. You have backs out of the backfield that can receive the ball, mainly thinking about Kenneth Gainwell maybe taking a jump in his second year. And that's a team that you look at like they should throw the ball a good amount. They should be throwing the ball 55, 60% of the time. So if they don't do that, well, that tells you everything you need to know about what they think of Jalen Hurts. If they do that and they win, that's what I need to see to know that they trust him enough to give it to him. And I also, it's tough to say because I don't know who they'll match up against. They could end up getting in a wild card game. Dallas wins the division. They win like 11 games. Dallas wins 12. And then you see, I don't know, a Tampa Bay on fire with Tom Brady, a Packers on fire with Aaron Rodgers, and they lose that game. And it may be like, well, yeah, they looked incredible, and you can see Jalen Hurts as the guy. So it's not definitively this, but I do really want to see them win a playoff game with him. That would make me feel a lot better that Howie Roseman's not going to go out and go draft another guy in this next year with one of those top picks they got.
So real quick before I let Carson Strong take over for a question, you mentioned the play calling, which the first 6 or so weeks of last season was bonkers with the fact that Nick Sirianni decided to run the ball like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and we've never really seen that before. He's not calling plays well. He's not calling plays. Shane Steichen has taken over. What do you make of that? I don't know how much you know about Shane Steichen. So are you happy about that or what?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, just got to interrupt because I got it a little bit in the bottom corner here. Bryce Harper solo shot for the Bills. So you love to see
I
that.
saw.
Is
Yep,
he going to win MVP again?
he's
Yeah,
got it. The only thing that
He's
holds him
going
back
to.
is the DH.
Yeah, I don't even think that will. There's
I
so
know.
because you
Yeah.
think about it with the DH universal now. There's going to be so many good hitters that are DH only in the National League. I think he's got to look
Dude,
at
he's
it.
on pace for like 127 ribbies.
Dude, he's unbelievable. He's got what is that 40 something now?
It's like
And
46 or something.
yeah,
47.
dude, he's unreal. Anyway, back to Shane Steichen. So I'd be lying to you if I said I know all that much about Shane
Right.
Steichen and his style and everything like that. What I do know is when they rotated last year, they got a good feel for it. Like what they were doing last year was working, and they're sticking with that same approach this year, even more so giving the opportunity to Shane Steichen. Here's what I got to trust about Nick Sirianni, right? All of the adjustments he made were good adjustments. It might have taken him a while to get there, but there was nothing that I can think of off the top of my head that he changed last year that was like, wow, this is significantly worse than what you guys were doing. Now, it took him like 2 months to learn to run the ball, but once he did it, they did it well, and they continued to do it. They built a better scheme around it. So his decisions, even though they're slower or they were slower last year as a rookie head coach, have largely worked out in favor of the team. I got to trust what they're doing. And it's also that relationship between the two of them. He said in the press conference that he had, I believe it was yesterday? Yeah, yesterday afternoon, he had a presser. And he said it's also kind of like a feel thing, like Shane Steichen has to know what he's thinking. So he clearly still has input on it.
Right.
But I've got no issue with that whatsoever. If that's what they think is best, I trust Nick Sirianni after last year to make the adjustments. And just roll with what you were doing last year and it seemed to be working.
Go ahead, Carson.
All right, I'm not going to ask the franchise question because, come on. But do you think there's a legitimate shot that Carson Strong actually makes the team?
I really do think there is, because you look at what this team does with quarterbacks, how much they value the backup quarterback position. Gardner Minshew is going to be the backup. Carson Strong is not going to come in and take over the number 2 job at all. But you saw there was rumors about them feeling around about Nick Foles, and that was only if Gardner Minshew moves on. But they constantly look at that quarterback position as a premium. And Carson Strong being an undrafted guy, not going to command a lot of money, not going to hurt you salary cap wise. I think that's a big reason why he will have an opportunity to make the team. It's a health thing is the only issue. He's clearly talented enough to be on an NFL roster. We saw that and we heard that all the way through the draft process. Now, I think he won't dress for any games, hopefully, really, because Gardner will stay healthy and Jalen will stay healthy and everything will be good. But rocket arm, he's got something you don't get from the other 2 guys because he can throw the football a mile, and that's not really the type of quarterback that Minshew or Hurts are. And it adds variability. So the other thing you think about too, right? If you're looking at it and you're Howie Roseman, you're building a team. Carson Strong, scout team kind of guy. You've got him on the roster to dress in case, but you also keep him around, not even as a practice squad guy, but a guy that's in the quarterback's room to progress, but also have that rocket arm for when you see guys that can throw the ball a little bit further down the field. It gives a different look to the defense. All of this stuff plays in. All of that, I think, is why he will end up being on this roster. Won't see the field, but he'll be around this team.
All right, before I get to the defensive side of the ball, I want to talk about this roster as a whole and the job that Howie Roseman has done this offseason, because this is like what I'm excited. Last year, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. So I know, knock on me, I was a Carson Wentz guy, like before, obviously, everything unfolded, right?
I was too, man. No fault in that.
And I didn't see it in Jalen Hurts. So heading into last year with the downfall of everything, the roster, the rookie head coach, I had no hope, no expectations on this team. I kind of went through the motions watching the first 10 weeks of last season. It's June and I'm pumped for this team. Why? Not only do I think that the quarterback has a chance to progress, the rest of this roster to me, dude, it's really good. Like really talented. It's deep. The trenches on both sides of the ball are deep. They probably have, listen, I don't know what James Bradbury we're going to get, but he's not a number 1 anymore. He's number 2 here at Darius Slay. They probably have a top 5 cornerback duo in the league, top 10 at least, right? When's the last time we were able to say that? When's the last time the Eagles had a top 10 definitive wide receiver, right? So what do you make of the offseason Howie Roseman has had, and how good is the rest of this roster? Because I know some people are like, oh, remember the dream team? No one's made that dumbass comment. That hasn't it's not like Gardner Minshew's come out and said the dream team, right? Like Vince Young did. So I'm excited, dude. So I just want to get your thoughts on the rest of this roster.
Yeah, it's a super talented roster. their only weak spot. Like literally their
Safety.
only weak spot is safety.
Right.
And a lot of people are missing the fact that their linebackers are going to be significantly better in coverage this year. Nakobe Dean can run well. Kaiser White is a converted safety.
Yep.
So you got guys that can cover in the middle of the field that takes the pressure off those safeties. They can play deeper coverage. They can play more bracket coverage on the outside with better corners out there, and you could just be fine. So, yeah, safety's a little bit of an issue. Like, I don't love seeing Marcus Epps as your starter right now. But at the same time,
I think you can hide it a little bit. Like, you couldn't hide CB2. You can hide safety a little.
Right, and he's got experience playing. Like, Is he a great safety? No. Is he a starter in the NFL? Probably not. But, like, you put him on a team that's terrible, and he could probably get some starting time. So it's like you can survive that. But every other position group, they're stacked in, and they're returning guys, and they're not relying on rookies.
But they're still super young.
Are they though? Like who?
No, I meant in a good way. I didn't mean an experienced way.
Oh,
like they're young. They're 27, 28. Like,
but they're not like 23, 24,
right.
25. Like you got guys now. AJ Brown's still young relatively, but he's got years in the league. Like this line, you got young guys, but they got experience. Like this roster's incredibly well built, and it may take a year or two for them to come into their own and get used to playing together and figure out the quarterback position. But Howie Roseman, I can't say enough good things about what he's done. This is an A+ offseason. I couldn't even imagine how good this offseason was going to be, and exceeded all expectations with the roster construction.
Yeah, I'm with you. So follow up to that on the defensive side of the ball. Everyone's eyes, like we mentioned to start off this segment, everyone's eyes go to Jalen Hurts. This is the prove it year. He could not be here next year. My eyes go to the defensive coordinator in this sense. Like he is well respected and talked about throughout the league, apparently. Like, and people think he's a genius. And Steven Nelson on someone's podcast last year, they asked someone asked him about Gannon's scheme. Because at first he was like, "Oh, I don't have one," and he's like, "Well, I got one, but I can't really, implement it right now with the personnel I have." It was weird, right? And Nelson said it's effing genius, apparently, or it's effing great, right? Well, you got the personnel now. Like I even sometimes forget that they went out and signed Hassan Reddick, right? So like you forget the pass rush, the defensive line depth, the linebackers, as you mentioned, the corners, etc. Is this a year you can look at the defensive coordinator? I know it's only year 2, but you can say, dude, if I see your corners 11 yards off the line of scrimmage and you're giving up historical numbers against opposing quarterbacks and you can't stop the 3 of us, will he be gone next year? Like, what are you expecting to see out of Jonathan Gannon?
Here's the rough thing, right? So they still got to figure out the quarterback position. That's the biggest developmental growth for this team that they've got to figure out. Is like, who's going to be the quarterback? Is Jalen Hurts going to be the guy? That's bump number 1 that they have to get over to get to like Super Bowl contention. But close behind it is the defensive coordinator. Coaching consistency is huge for teams when it comes to success in the NFL. Jonathan Gannon's gone one way or another after this year. If he's good this year, he's getting hired somewhere to be a head coach. If he's bad with his talent, he's getting fired. So the consistency is going to be tough. It's almost like he has to have a mediocre year,
right?
They have to win so that no one wants to hire him and that he also doesn't get fired. But yeah, that's a tough thing with him, who's already gotten head coaching interviews. So he's probably going to be gone if he's good. He's probably going to be gone if he's bad. So that's a tough.
I didn't think about it that way. That sucks. If he's
really
good, it sucks if he's good.
But we need him to be is the other thing. Like you can't suck. Like you don't want him to stink, and then it's a tough balance with that this year. So that is going to be a really interesting storyline to watch as the season progresses. I think he's going to be much better because it's hard to be worse when your defense gets this much better. But that's always going to be in the back of my mind. Is like, man, that's a great play by Hassan Reddick getting home, but now he's another step closer to coaching the Texans next year or something.
Yeah. Cotter, you got anything else Eagles wise?
Yeah, how much do you think they're going to use Jordan Davis this year? I mean, obviously they're going to rotate him in some, but do you think he's going to have?
By the way, Cotter wasn't a fan of the draft pick.
No,
really, you didn't like
Kyle
Hamilton.
Should have had Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton was great, and I would have taken him too. There are a lot of people who feel that way, so I can't fault you for that. Jordan Davis is a player, though. He's clearly an intelligent player. I don't know if you guys heard his press conference during OTAs, but the guy already he has like that kind of leadership it factor about him. They're trying to slim him down. So obviously that's just the natural. You're coming into the league. You got to be in better shape thing. But that's also them trying to get him ready to be a 4-down player if he can. Ultimately, I think it's going to be a rotational thing. But you look at some of the other guys who are going to be playing in the middle, like Milton Williams, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis. And then you've got some solid edge rushers in Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick now. Like, it's always a rotation on the Eagles' defensive line. So I think even if he was a 4-down caliber player, the Eagles don't really do that with guys. They've had their most success when they just have, like, they run it 7 or 8 guys deep and keep a rotation, keep people fresh, and do that. So I'd probably expect to see him 2 or 3 downs out of every 4 out there on the field, and then just getting a breather. And now when guys move on, when Fletcher Cox's contract is up, he got that 1-year restructure this year after releasing him. Like, he could see a 4-down role, but this year it's going to be a rotational thing.
So I don't want to include all of draft night because obviously I think the answer would be AJ Brown when it comes to impact. But I'll keep it to the 2 Georgia boys. Which rookie do you think will have the bigger impact on this defense this year?
That's a great question. It's a really tough one because they both could in totally different ways, and it's interesting how it plays out. Are you guys? I'll ask you guys because I don't know. It's kind of a field thing. Are you guys still worried about the Nakobe Dean injury questions that made him drop? No, not at all.
No.
Because
I'm more worried about his size. I
not
thought he
worried
was a
about
little
the size.
small, but
Yeah.
I think he's still. I really wanted Lloyd, but I mean, he wasn't there in 3rd round, so the value there obviously was incredible, and I'm not going to complain about it. But he may be a little small, but we'll see.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dylan.
Well, no, I was just going to say I lost my train of thought.
You're all good. Well, I'll make my pick here. So I'm going to go with Jordan Davis just because I think they're going to give him, if there's a question about opportunity, like who's going to get more playing time, because we saw stuff with now Davion Taylor, obviously not as talented of a linebacker coming in as Nakobe Dean is coming in, but Davion Taylor took some time to get out there. Sean Bradley is still taking some time to get out there. Alex Singleton played, but like it took a little bit for him to work in before he became the starter. Like, they're more cautious with linebackers. I think Jordan Davis is going to get more of an opportunity to play, and he'll just have more of an impact because of that. But man, they're both going to be really big for this defense this year.
I remember your question now. Forgot the question for a second. No, I'm not worried about the health cautions with him because he wouldn't be on the field already. Like, I know it's like walkthrough stuff. It's no pads, it's no contact and stuff like that, so they can be less cautious with it right now. But like, from the way he dropped, dude, he was projected to Philly at like 16 at the time, 18, wherever they slotted him.
Yeah.
The fact that he dropped to the 3rd round because of these health concerns, and then they scoop him, and he's like, nah, I'm going to be at OTAs. Like, I'm good. Like, because there were questions about what, if he should get surgery or not, and if he got the surgery, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, that was some people's opinions, and then other doctors and other people's opinions that he doesn't need it. Yeah. So I guess it's a concern, but I'm fine with it. Like, I'm not worried about it.
So here's what worries me, right? And it's stupid. This is dumb reasoning, but we have dumb reasoning in Philadelphia. We're very emotional fans, people, analysts, whatever you want to say. But because it's Philly and it's the Eagles, and we're always on the outside looking in when someone like a DK Metcalf goes in a later round, you're like, how did that guy drop? Like, the Eagles never get that guy.
Right.
So when I see it, I'm like, man, there's got to be something wrong with him because we never end up with this guy. So it might just be that in the back of my mind.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and act like, we need the respect of national people, or I want national media talking about us, but I don't think I've ever quite heard national people react to a player Philly has selected in the tone, like national media is calling him the steal of the draft. Philly got the steal of the draft. I've never heard that before. So I'm not saying their word is right. I'm just saying when we look at those guys, how'd he fall?
Yeah.
And then the Eagles, go out like Sidney Rice, the collapse with Sidney Rice when we thought, coming back from the Achilles in the 2nd round didn't work out. Right. I've never heard it on a larger scale be discussed this much and, thought of this highly.
No, I got you. And you guys are probably right on that there shouldn't be any concern. There's just like the little bit in the back of my mind. Yeah. And it's only when you put him up against Jordan Davis and you're like, who's going to be better? Right. I don't think he's going to have issues this year. It's just that is something that I weigh Jordan Davis higher than that. And obviously the Eagles did too. They selected him in the 1st round. But yeah, I think they're both going to be awesome.
All right, dude. We'll wrap this up. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Last question for you. It's something we did on the show yesterday. We came up with the list, so I'm putting you on the spot here. So I don't even know if you'll have any answers for me. But yesterday we went through our top 5 non-star or obscure Philly athletes of all time. You got any names You got any names for me that we left off?
No, I got you. I'm quick with it. My favorite player growing up was Chad Lewis. So I loved Chad Lewis. Not like he was a good player. He was like a known name.
But
He's a tight end. He's not like one of the star Steelers. I was a big Kevin Curtis guy. Loved Kevin Curtis. I'm trying to think of Sixers. Now, does TJ count as an obscure?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
TJ's my boy. I love TJ McConnell.
That was my number one. That was my number one.
But like, is he so popular now that like?
No. A, he's not that popular because he's not a star. B, he shouldn't even be. He's on my most hated list.
He got the bag from Indiana. He earned that, man. Dude, coming in undrafted.
I can't take it, dude. I can't with him.
TJ's on there for me.
Jeff Jenkins is on the list.
Yeah, Jeff's a good one.
So I brought up this name yesterday, and they didn't know who I was talking about, and I really did. Like, I was the same age as him. I was very young, but I remember Brandon Duckworth.
Brandon Duckworth.
I don't know why, dude.
Out, man.
Remember that?
Is that just the name you remember? Or
yeah. It was like, I remember going to games and he like just seeing him a lot and just like saying his name. My parents like always told me that, but remember Vicente? That whole
Vicente
rotation.
Yeah.
Vicente Padilla, Randy Wolf, Kevin Millwood.
Now, Randy Wolf had his own fan section. I don't know if he can count as not a star. When you got the Wolf Pack up there in the upper decks. Yeah. I mean,
was he still the last fight in the hit for the cycle or no? I forget. Has anyone hit for it since?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like there was someone in that like 2010 to 2016 stretch, but I don't know. Didi's got a chance to do it today in the middle of this game. He goes yard, and he's going to be the most recent one.
So my number one on this list was a joke because I just wanted to get under people's skin, but he really isn't a star to me. But my number one was Nick Foles.
Yeah, well, I mean, he cannot be on any of these lists. That's an unfair pick right there. That's going out.
What do you mean? He's non-star.
That's unfair. He's the biggest star. He's the biggest star of Philadelphia sports history, man. But can't be on the list, man. But TJ hate that's unwarranted.
You got any hated? Because we're going to do this next week. You got any most hated Philly athletes of all time? Star or not star?
So many. Sean Rodriguez can kick rocks.
Yes.
He drove me insane. He's a big hate the face guy. Like, get him out of here. And Gabe Kapler was like, just love the dude for no. He can get out of here. I'm trying to think of Nelson Aguilar. I was never a big fan of, but I almost like Nelly more with Rager here now. Because like Rager is what a lot of people thought Aguilar was. Aguilar stunk for a starter. Rager stinks for an NFL player. So that's but no, there's not really that many guys that drove me as crazy.
Dude, listen, I'm not gonna lie. I gotta like talk to you more often about Sean Rodriguez because you said I'm quick with it, and it was very quick. Like it was almost all on the tip of your tongue already. Yeah, Sean Rodriguez just robbed this dude the wrong way for some reason.
Yeah, not a fan of his, but that's a whole nother conversation. But those are a good couple of lists, good couple of questions.
He ran into Sean Rodriguez at the bar one time, and there was a problem, so he doesn't like him anymore.
Nah, nothing personal against him. It's just the way he was handled by the manager. And he said something about the fans too. I never take kindly to people bad mouthing Philly fans because I think this is a great fan base, best in the world.
Shout out Adam Sandler.
Yes, sir.
Quote and hustle. Great film.
Yes,
you saw it, right?
I was at the premiere actually on Wednesday, so I got a chance to go ahead and check that out, or on Tuesday rather. My days are getting mixed up this week, so that was cool. I was in there and got a chance to see it firsthand. Great,
very weird. One of my boys from I went to Kutztown. He was on a basketball team, Anthony Lee. I could have sworn I saw him on the corner of the bench in the one scene. And I'm like, there's no like what? Because he didn't post anything prior to this. And I go on Instagram and his story, it's him. He like put out I was like, well, how the hell did you get in this movie?
Yeah, there were so many people in the area because they like filmed at LaSalle, they filmed in Manioc. There's a bunch of people from the area that are either in the background as extras or get like cameos in it. But yeah, man, it was cool. Yeah. It's a good film. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. But yeah, great film.
All right, guys. Connor, thank you so much for coming on again, buddy. We hope we can have you on again soon. Guys, check him out on Twitter if you don't already, at Connor Thomas 97.5. You can check him out on 97.5 The Fanatic all the time. What's your schedule looking like coming out the rest of the week on there?
Man, so tomorrow I'm going to be 10 or like 6 to 10, normal John Kincaid show. I'll be on the board, so I'll be talking. And then I'll be on the afternoon show 2 to 6 on NBC Sports Philadelphia tomorrow afternoon.
Wow, seeing this mug again.
Yeah, so on TV. Can you believe it? They put this ugly guy on TV?
Ma, I'm on TV. Tune in. Yeah. All right, Connor. Thank you so much, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, boys. Take it easy.
Have a good one. All right. Connor Thomas, everybody. Kata, thoughts on the Phillies optimism before we wrap this up? Because are you there yet? Because I'm emotional. I'm excited.
See, this is like the third time now I've gotten super hyped about the same goddamn team. I'm just like, it's gonna collapse at some point. I know it. I don't know if it's just me, like they haven't made the playoffs since I was 11 years old or what, but I can't buy into it yet. But like I want to so bad.
Dude, I'm in. Like
I'm ready to get my heart broken again.
We probably talked like 2 weeks ago. And we were like, just teams. Remember when we did the list on like the direction of the organizations, and we were like, this team, I don't know where this team's going. They're screwed. Blah blah blah. We're talking about the whole summer being dreadful, and literally 10 days later, I'm like, you know what? This team's gonna make playoffs. Like the only thing I'll say, and I'm not the like. First of all, they didn't even make the playoffs, so I can't be the I told you so guy. I'm just saying the only thing I've said since day one, even before the season is, and then when they struggled early into April and May, I've just been a firm believer of they're too goddamn talented. I don't care if it's on paper. They're too talented of a lineup, of a roster with the production you're getting out of most bullpen guys. I know some have screwed up a number of games this year, but Brad Hand has been really good. Sir Anthony's been really good. Before Connor said, like the last 3 games, Knable was fine. Like the bullpen had been fine. The starters are starting to tear it up right now. With the lineup you have, you're too damn talented to at least not be in the race. And I think you're starting to see them get into that race. Just for, the leaders are starting to step up, right? Like I know Kyle Schwarber had like 3 strikeouts today, but his start to June has been unreal. Bryce is putting up MVP type numbers. Reese is starting to get things going. The young guys are getting things going. Next thing you know, listen, don't let Nick Castellanos get hot, dude, because he's still struggling a bit. He got a single today, I believe. I could be wrong there. He was like 1 for 5 last night, so he struggled a bit. He's batting like under 250. There's a streak coming for Nick Castellanos. He was an MVP type player last year. He had 34, 35 home runs. He's got like 9 this year or less. Okay. It's coming at some point. If he gets hot with Schwarber in the summer and Harper and the young kids start stepping up, forget about it, bro. Forget about it. All right. That's going to wrap up this episode of the Phaithful Phanatics show. We still got a 4-2 ball game. Top 8. Philly's got a runner on first, 2 outs. Yes, we do. Hopefully they can lock down back-to-back sweeps heading into an easy schedule coming up. Kata, myself, check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Click the link tree in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are available on. Check out our TeePublic site as well. We got to get new merch up there. But speaking of the Phillies, we do have a Broad Street Bombers t-shirt up there at the moment. So go check that out if you'd like to support DSM Media. Check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the place. Spotify, Apple Podcast. Have a great night, everybody, and go Fightins.